Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Well, tell them.
All right, you folks out at Friendship area, Wolforth area, y'all need to go eat at All American Eatery. They're just open on Fridays and Saturdays from 11 till 8. But y'all got you a good restaurant, and you need to take advantage of it.
Support it.
Support it, by golly. And that's Fridays and Saturdays from 11 to 8. There you have it.
All right. They have great food. It is a wonderful place to eat. Tide Dry Cleaners, 4511 19th Street, and also on 19th and Quaker. And they do dry cleaning and laundry, and they'll do it the best, and you'll be proud you're going there. I will tell you that. We sure are, and we love how they do it. So go to Tide. Also, Lubbock Sports Medicine. Are you hurt? Have you been hurt, Jeff?
A time or two.
You have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. We just gave him instructions. He's already messed it up.
Yeah, you know, I'm an umpire, so I can't follow instructions.
I know.
It's not as easy as it looks.
I know. It's
absolutely
we
not.
just want to talk.
You just do the best you can.
Well, anyway, Lubbock Sports Medicine, great team of doctors, and just
Let's hear more about his
world
injuries.
class. What did you hurt?
Nothing on the field so far. It's just outside of the baseball field injuries.
Oh, okay. Can you tell
Like
us?
a bar brawl or something?
No, it was a tibia plateau fracture in my right leg, so they had to go in there and rebuild my right knee, and took a while to get over that. Fortunately, it was at the end of the season in 2018, so some time off in rehab, and we were good to go.
Good. You're all healed up.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, they can take care of you at Lubbock Sports Medicine, and whatever Jeff just said, I'm sure they can fix that too. Great
Really
team.
good.
It's a messed up knee is what it is.
Go to LubbockSportsMed.com and check them out. You'll be glad you did. All right, Jeff Berryman is here. He is the most recent winner of the Kal Segrist Award, and there have been, and now 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're the 5th umpire
in a row.
What is our problem with the deal? What do you think?
Well, I mean, you know, it all started, you know, on the playing side.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, we got the playing side, and we got our kids growing up.
You coached.
Yes, sir. Yeah, in youth league and stuff like that. So it gets to a point when you're like, okay, my kids don't need me anymore. So if I want to stay in the game, I guess I'm going to have to go to the other side.
Yeah, the dark side.
So here we are a few years later, and it's just the biggest deal for me is it's been a way for me to give back to a community and to a game. It's been really good.
Well, that's why a guy like you, he's a fine man, I will tell you. I've known Jeff a long time, since Coronado High School days when he was a sophomore in 1983 at Coronado. He played on my sophomore team.
Yes, sir.
I don't remember which team he played on, but
no, I wasn't very good, as you I'm sure you recall.
I don't even remember most of the players, but I remember you, and it was. He's just always been a great guy, and he really has been. He's called in the Little League World Series. Tell you how good he is. Can you remember your very first game ever as an umpire?
Yes, and it kind of goes back. I do kind of, sort of, but my very first game is, and Kelly mentioned it the other day at the luncheon during fall ball.
Yeah,
trying to get things together. Of course, it's scrambling. You know, we got 10 games a day on each field, trying to get umpires. We get late in the game, we don't have any. And Kelly's like, man, you're going to have to gear up. I said, I don't have any gear. He's like, well, I got some. And also, as Kelly mentioned, it was 3 sizes too little. So
Kelly's probably, 8-10 inches shorter than you?
No, at least.
At least.
Yeah, at least.
So anyway, I gear up, and, I thought I knew the game pretty good, but I didn't know that side of it very
Did
good.
you call behind the plate?
Yes, sir.
Your first game behind the plate?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Were you nervous?
Oh, yeah.
Did the people yell at you?
Always. They still do today.
No. Still, even when I'm not umpiring, they're still yelling at me.
Absolutely. You got to have thick skin. But, yes, it was, in growing up and coaching and this and that, you feel like you got a pretty good knowledge of the game and the rules. And then, as your umpiring career advances, it's like, wow, really? That's a rule?
I better read the rule book again.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. David, you ever umpire?
Not really. I seem like I can remember just helping out or something. I did a little bit, but not more than one or two
I remember
games.
you helping out too from the dugout.
Yeah, well,
you were quite the helper, Dave.
Yeah, I did umpire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you mention it,
All right,
every game.
Here's my first game, and I'll keep it short because we want to talk to Jeff. But I'm calling out at Dixie Little League, and I'm in high school, but they needed umpires like they do nowadays. And so I'm behind the plate, and this lady's just wearing me out. And finally, between innings, I go back there. I said, "Ma'am, would you please shut up?" And it was Billy Sorrell's fiance.
Oh.
And now I got Billy wanting to beat me up.
And he could.
I said, please. Anyway, that was my very first game.
Did he beat you up?
No, he did not.
He should.
But I'll tell you this.
He should have, right?
Billy wound up passing away from cancer.
Yeah.
And his wife left him while he had cancer.
Oh.
So I think I was a shrewd,
had her pegged from a long
judge
way, yeah.
Shrewd judge of character is what I was, and even at that young age. So anyway, all right. Speaking of I'm assuming you've had to throw people out. Do y'all look forward to that, or do you?
Absolutely not. And to be honest with you, I have early on in the administration side of it, when I wasn't on the field, helping Kelly in fall ball, Little League, whatever, I was probably a part of escorting a fan or parent away. But as an official, today, I have not ejected a person.
Wow.
That is great.
Or player. So
you're kind of intimidating because you're a big, tall guy.
Well, I mean, it's and there's probably several instances I should have.
Yep.
But you always kind of want to leave that as the last resort. You want to have thick skin.
Keep your perfect record intact.
Well, yeah, I guess. That's not a big record.
We'd rather
not. Yeah, it's something you need to do. But, got to get your warnings in. You want everybody to finish the game. Obviously, there's the magic words and there's the magic things that don't get you a warning. But so far, I haven't had to eject anyone, and I hope that continues.
I'm going to tell you why you haven't, because of your demeanor. You're not baiting somebody. You're not going out there with the intent of, okay, you think you're not Barney. You don't get your little bullet out and put it in your gun and no jaywalking on my watch.
Sure. No, absolutely.
You're going to disarm instead of
escalate the situation.
Yeah, that's always the thought process going in. Sometimes it goes above and beyond, and we all lose our minds and do stupid stuff. But so far, so good.
Yeah.
Doyle Suter says Jeff is an example. Let me see what you're an example of. Hang on a minute. I got to go.
Talking about icons, here we are with Doyle Suter.
I know it. Wasn't he big time? Jeff is an example of a class act human being, son, father, dad. Jeff is just the all-around red, white, and blue USA man.
Love you, Doyle. Love you, man.
That's pretty nice. And, I see Jeff a lot during football season because for years now, I don't know how many years, he's been running the chain gang out at Lowry Field.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
You go to all the games and – yeah. Y'all used to head up to this year y'all didn't come up to the press box.
We did not. Actually, we did not run the chains this year. Took a year off. But it's always a lot of fun to hang out, be on front row seat and don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So that's the best part.
Well, it's really cool. At Coronado, of course, I left that 83.
So I would have been on.
No, 81 was my last year. So you were a sophomore that year.
That is correct.
That was my last year at Coronado. What happened to your career from there? How long did you play basketball?
So basketball that year, I was done. Okay. The next 2 years, I of course played for Coach Dudley at Coronado baseball. Graduated in '83, and that was pretty much the end of my playing days. I decided I needed to go to work and start making a living for myself, and that's kind of where I'm at today. And
you're what do you build? You build buildings. What do you do?
So the company I work for, Standard Structures Incorporated. As a matter of fact, this season we'll have some radio and internet advertisement for Tech Baseball. Oh. So we manufacture, and we're on the sales and manufacturing side of metal buildings. We're located just north of the airport off the interstate.
And y'all build buildings for everywhere? Y'all ship them around?
Anywhere you want it to go, we can make it happen.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we like I said, just on the sell side and the manufacturing, we don't do any putting them up or whatever like that, but have a good customer contractor base that does that.
So y'all just make the materials?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And then they ship them out there. And
yes, sir.
How long you been doing that?
I've been in the industry about 35 years. I've been with Standard Structures this month, 9 years.
All right. Who's the head guy there? You?
At this facility would be Matt Evans and myself.
All right. So if we need some buildings, call you?
Absolutely. Give us a call. We will help you out.
Are you still officiating?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I do. Actually, we've been...
There's not a lack of games, is there?
No, there's not. There's plenty, and especially at the high school level. I mean, we saw it in football this year. I'm sure they're seeing it in basketball, just trying to get enough or rearranging dates and stuff like that. And, you know, the high school chapter, we've been meeting now for 3-4 weeks, and, you know, we're just continuing looking at the numbers and looking at the amount of games, especially those first 3 weeks of season when you have an abundance of tournaments. It's just hard to get them covered. But, we can always use more.
All right, the most games you've ever done in one day?
Will probably be 4 or 5, and there again, that was with good old Kelly Showcase Fall Ball.
Okay,
he's a workhorse.
Yeah,
that was unbelievable what he did putting that fall ball together. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was when he first came to me with that, I was like, "Really? You think that'll work?" And it was like, man, that thing is just taking off.
Yeah,
it's really good,
big time.
Where is fall ball now?
Well, they used to have it out at Midwest Little League. But there is no Midwest Little League anymore.
No, it's gone.
So where do you do it now?
So he does it out at Lubbock Cooper Little League, 1585 in Milwaukee.
Okay.
There's
plenty of fields.
The threeplex, and typically that threeplex will cover them all. If he has some heavy weekends, he can bleed over into the other ones.
Yeah.
And as of late, I don't do a ton of umpiring in there as I used to, but most of mine in today's time is at high school and JUCO level.
Okay. What junior college do you do?
We have the West out
Howard
here. We Howard, Midland, Odessa. Got New Mexico Military in Roswell. Got Clarendon, Frank Phillips, NMJC in Hobbs. Amarillo now has a college.
Do you call a bunch of those?
I'll call 20 to 30 a season.
Do you call LCU, Lubbock Christian, for Coach Blackwood?
That would be Division II. I have not called any of that. I do some of their duck and skunk and some of their fall league stuff, but mainly just high school and JUCO.
You do their dunk and skunk?
Their series they have every year.
Okay.
It's like the red black.
Oh yeah, dunk. I didn't know they called it the dunk and skunk.
Is it duck or dunk?
Duck and skunk. Yeah, duck and skunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even get why is that the name?
I'm not sure what the history of that is.
Doyle told me to ask you about the World Series opening day in Los Angeles.
That was a lot of fun. My two boys, Casey and Cody, and myself had the opportunity to go to L.A. For the MLB World Series. That was, that's one of those bucket lists, no matter who's playing.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, we're and I may get thrown out of here for this, but lifelong Yankees fan, that was even, we
love the Yankees.
A bonus. But L.A. is definitely a different world. But it was a great experience. Wish it would have been a different outcome, but it was really cool to go and watch.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of World Series, you've called a Little League World Series.
Yes, sir.
That had to have been a thrill.
It's a phenomenal event, isn't it, Jeff?
It is. I mean, when it comes to the game of baseball, that's at the top of the list. It was fun. It was right at 2 weeks of nothing but eat, drink, and sleep baseball at the field, and a ton of fun.
Who was the other guy from Lubbock that is called up there? David.
That would be. I just went.
You went blank.
I did, David.
It is David though.
It is. Good guy. Garland Timms also has called there. He's from Lubbock.
Well, that's not many when you talk about
I bet
how long
there's
the
been
Little League
3
World
from
Series.
Lubbock, and that's And you're the last, I think.
I believe that's correct. Yes, sir.
That you have done it.
Okay, what stood out about that?
Just the of course, you have teams from all over the world. You have families there, and the intertwine. Well, for example, I'll give you. I had the plate for the International World Series, International Championship.
Oh, wow.
So that was Mexico and Japan, and of course there was definitely a language barrier there, but in a few short minutes after the game starts, we're on the same page. It's baseball. So that was pretty cool. At the end of the day, it's all about baseball, and everyone, even though we spoke different languages and did different things, we all understood.
Weren't too far from an interpreter, I don't guess.
I didn't.
Absolutely not. When we got to that point, we would.
I didn't know this. It seemed like I remember something about it, but it says here that you got a curveball right before the Little League World Series. Who had surgery?
That was me. 3 weeks before we left, I had my gallbladder taken out.
Did they do that where they poke a hole in you and suck it out of there?
Laparoscopic or whatever they call it.
Laparoscopic. That's what it is.
I think that's what they call it.
So this was right before.
Yes, sir.
You're headed up there. My gosh. And you were okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. As good as I could be.
Yeah. Well,
we made it happen. As a lot of people out there.
What if you'd have missed that? Oh my God.
That wasn't happening. We were going to figure it out. We were going to figure it out.
You were going. Well, that is so cool. Now you got a birthday party you're headed to.
Yes, sir. Going to Bryson Tucker's birthday party here in a little bit.
Great nephew.
Yes, his great nephew.
And we're trying to figure out what a great nephew is.
So it'd be my nephew's son. For all the grammar experts out there, maybe they can help us out.
And your boys are grown?
Yes, sir. Casey's 31. Cody's 28.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, we're proud of you. You're on an elite list there of people that have helped it.
Very, very honored to be there. There are a ton of people out there, more deserving than me, but it's truly an honor to be on that list.
Jeff Berryman, everybody. Proud of you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, Mighty Wash, they're at the Texas Tech Car Wash. That's who the coaches go to see to get their vehicles washed, and it can be yours too. They'd love to see you. They have locations all over Lubbock. And here's the other part. They're all over the Permian Basin, Midland, Odessa, eastern New Mexico. Huge operation, over 400 employees, and they're based right here in Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock owned and operated. Mighty Wash, make them your car wash. There's some choices out there now, but go to that one. You'll find the one near you, I would guess, because they're all over everywhere. All right, we're honored to have with us today. We kind of jumped into the middle of this. Randy Christian, longtime friend.
Yeah.
And
made your fortune in the sporting goods. Helped you make your
yeah, that's right. You were our advertising guy.
Spirit.
Sports Spirit.
Yeah.
He did the drawings and
all the advertising. He was a full service advertising agency.
Yeah.
You know who my first client was? Dan Law.
Was he really?
Yes.
Your very first client.
When I went to work for John Waddington.
Yeah.
And that's how I love Dan. Dan. I learned a lot from him. He even took me on the road a couple of times, Amarillo and on down to Odessa, and told me how it needed to be. And I said, "Okay, Dan, I understand." I knew I was in with Dan when I reached Podna status.
Yeah, Podna.
Podna.
Yeah. Well, I remember those days when you were helping Dan.
Oh yeah, that was great.
That's amazing.
It was great. We had a good run. I closed the agency in 2007 and did some freelance work and some freelance writing for some publications, and then went to work for McGavick's and loved working for those folks.
Aren't they good people? They're one of our sponsors.
Oh yeah.
They're fine people right there.
They're good folks. The whole family, and it's a good business too. Mm-hmm. And then I was sequestered by a few friends to see if I'd run for city council.
And you did it.
I did it.
And you won.
I didn't have an opponent.
When was this?
Congratulations, by the way, on this win. I thought you'd lose.
Well,
No, I did.
I got to tell you a funny story about that. On the sidelines is my wife, my wonderful wife, Margaret, and these guys.
You should have brought her with you today.
Well, she didn't.
Oh, yeah.
She
Was
wanted,
that her?
She wanted to come see you.
I bet. Margaret, it is good to see you. Are you reading a book?
I am.
Oh, my goodness. We were talking about that earlier. There's too many words.
Yeah, and they're real small. They get smaller all the time.
You turn the page and you go, more words.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, okay, I'll think about it. And then I went home and I said, Margaret, what do you think about me running for city council? And it was dead silence. And I go, oh, man, am I in trouble? And she said, how many times over the years have I told you that I thought you'd make a great city councilman? I go, well, at least I got one vote.
Well, you're running unopposed. You ought to be in good shape.
And what year was this?
Gosh, it'll be 8 years ago. What year was it, Mark?
2018.
18.
2018.
Served 4 years.
Okay.
You like it?
That was a great experience.
Good.
Great experience.
Seemed like there'd be a lot of reading. You like to read, so.
Lots of
No,
people.
I don't like to read, actually.
Oh, you don't?
No, but
I don't
we would
either.
always have meetings and briefings and stuff like that. So there wasn't a whole lot unless you started getting into budget and very specific ordinance and things like that. But it was sporadic, but it wasn't all the time.
There was a mayor while you were the.
Pope.
Oh, Dan was.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah.
We had a great crew,
Yeah.
and we got a lot of stuff done.
Good.
And but I always tell folks it was a perfect time in my career. The McGavics were supportive of it. I quit after I got elected because it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I had District 5, and of course that's Southwest Lubbock, where everything that's going is going in Texas. And I always joked about it when I got elected. I said the biggest thing that I have to do is doing so good in District 5 is not screw it up.
Yeah. Try not to mess. Who messed this up? Randy Christian did.
I didn't do that. That was before me.
Yeah. Well, and you've had some other things going on. You've had some battles of your own with health.
Well, I've had cancer battles all my life.
Yeah.
And that's primarily because of something called Lynch syndrome, which is a chromosomal deal that's been haunting our family on my mother's side, that basically where you have an X and I have an X, mine is not an X. So what it does, it creates the opportunity, for lack of a better word, for me to have multiple cancers in my life.
And you have?
I had colon cancer at 33, right, Mark?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I haven't had a colon since the 80s. And then I had anal cancer, and now I'm battling stomach cancer right now.
Bless your heart.
And we've got it. It's doing well, but like a lot of those deals, the side effects are I'd rather get beat up with a baseball bat than, and that's kind of the reason I have a crutch now. But anyway, I'm here doing good, getting up and trying to figure out what God has in store for me, and so now I had time to go back to this to answer your question, and tell people about this because
you do look good, by the way.
Well,
your hair out. What's going on?
Didn't have anything else to do.
I kind of like
I didn't want to spend a lot of time in the barber shop anyway. They'd have to help me out of the chair, and all this stuff. It gets embarrassing. So anyway.
Coach and I cut his own hair. He cut his own hair.
Probably anybody else's that he'd get close to, which goes to kind of this guy.
All right, let's talk about this
guy. He is so much like Knight. It's crazy. He had a deal, and if you want to look at it just kind of have fun with this, on page 57, he had a saying that don't dare break your plate.
No what?
If you screw up, you get aside. You don't break your plate, because that meant that you didn't have a plate any longer at the team dinner table in the evening. And they stayed in some hotel. Now there was Lubbock was only 37,000 people.
See, and Tech's bigger than that now.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and look where we are today.
No.
But so I love that about it. You break your plate, you're gone. grab your bag and go home.
And there wasn't no discussing it.
And then he became, as I said, very good friends with Newt Rockne by way of really kind of a cool deal that Pete was very forward thinking to add money to the program. He created he developed one of the most respected coaches clinics at Texas Tech. He brought these guys from all over the country, and back then they went to like Duquesne. You remember? I mean, this is how. But when he was hired, there was two things they wanted him to do: discipline the team and get in the Southwest Conference. That was one of the things at that time because that's the reason they weren't playing a lot of Texas.
And what
teams.
year was this?
1930 to 1940.
Okay.
But once again, he got to be good friends with Rockne, and I forget all the details of how that happened. But he would go to Rockne's football camp every year, and they became such good buddies that Rockne would invite Pete over to the house for dinner. And in the book, it talks about them. They were these guys bled football, and they would gather up the chairs and make them like linemen in Rockne's house and develop plays with, here's the center. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You have the linemen, but they became incredibly good friends. Well, Rockne was being courted by Hollywood they were going to do the Newt Rockne story, or I forget, or they wanted him to be in a movie. The RKO movies back in the 30s.
RKO.
Well, Rockne got a call at his house while Pete was there one evening, and they wanted Newt to fly out to Hollywood. And he invited Pete. But Pete had promised his wife that he wouldn't fly because they were kind of fly shy, if you will, because of
This is a great story you're telling.
Because of the team flights that they had that were a little rough. So he said, "I'll tell you what I'll do, Coach." And of course, here's South Bend, here's Chicago. He said, "I'll get the train. I'll meet you in L.A." So Pete gets on the train, Chicago. You know where it goes to Fort Worth, and then straight across.
Good grief.
Yeah,
To Fort
that's how it would
Worth.
go. Well, Newt's flying. Plane crashes. Newt's killed.
And Pete could have been on that plane.
Pete could have been on that.
It's amazing he wasn't.
It's a Buddy Holly story.
Well, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parallels.
Newt Rockne.
There's parallels there.
Yeah.
So, but Pete was all emotions, and I mean, he was just a ball of emotions. And I mean, he was a thinking machine all the time. Well, they had to stop somewhere between Chicago and Fort Worth. He steps out on, you can imagine this is like the Natural.
Yeah.
That period, fedoras, long coats, all that sort. He steps out on the train station, and here's a newspaper boy. Newt Rockne dies in plane crash. Blah 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 blah. And that's how he found out.
Oh my God.
It's like a movie.
And I should have been on that plane.
Yeah, and so he calls a buddy in Fort Worth and gets him to get him a hotel room in Fort Worth when he gets there, because obviously he's not going to L.A. now.
Yeah.
And his buddy said he sobbed for 2 solid days.
Pete did?
Yeah, over the death.
That's the tender part of the book.
Oh, then there's other parts too, but because it's common. And then the other thing, like Knight, in the back of that book, you have his players who he kicked their heinies all the time, but they letter after letter say, "He changed my life. He made me the man that I am today." Mm-hmm. And you got a lot of that with Coach Knight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they're parallel, and so that's the tender part of it too. But as I said, first team to fly. There's the interior of the
There's
plane.
a picture of him on the plane, Red Raiders.
And also, he is the reason we're the Red Raiders. They were playing somebody, and I can't remember. I tried to find it in the book, but it's in there. He had bought red satin tops and red satin bottoms for the team, and they didn't know about it.
For our uniforms.
The uniforms.
Yeah.
And they were the Matadors at that time still.
Yeah.
So the guys go out for pregame, go in, get the uniforms. Here's those red satin tops, red satin bottoms on, and that's what they wore. And when they come running out for the game, then the gentleman who was an Avalanche Journal reporter that was with Pete, he really helped Pete a lot. He said, "Here comes the Texas Tech Matadors. They look like a bunch of Red Raiders."
That's when it started.
That's when it started.
That day.
That day. It was 1936 or 37, I believe.
Don Williams will probably remember. Or not,
of course he will.
Yeah, Don's coming in at 11.
Yeah, Don, I'd love to talk. Don will know a lot about Pete, I bet you. But the coaching school he started, to raise money for the program, he charged $25 a coach, and he brought these. He'd have 400 coaches coming in town. And Pete was a politician, too. As soon as he got to town, the first thing he did, he went to the Avalanche Journal, and he said, and talked to this sports writer. He goes, "You need to help me build this team." And then he started having community meetings about his vision for the team. And one of the things that makes me think about, name, likeness, and
image and likeness.
He talks about the only way we're going to build the team that we want, we're going to have to search nationwide. It's just, he was so ahead of his thinking on some of these things. And then there was a Miss Zelda, there was a PE teacher at Tech. He wasn't really happy with the agility of his players. Miss Zelda came in and had dancing lessons for the football. And that was, when that happened, that happens today.
Great.
And I thought, it's just some Ed Irons, and there are a list.
I'm looking at this Ed Irons deal.
Ed Irons played for him. My ninth grade coach in Amarillo, Bill Teal, he played for him. You'll see some other names you'll recognize.
Hey, Kurt Langford sent this in. He said, "Randy is an inspiration, great Red Raider," and he said, "Collier Parrish was the AJ reporter who first referenced
Parrish
Red Raiders."
That is Parrish. But what he did, he became a real advocate in the paper for Pete's program too. But what Pete was doing, Tech got so well known, actually, and they really started. Probably, I'm going to guess, and other folks that are smarter than I, but. If I would, the way I read it, Pete brought the forward pass to Tech. You don't think about it, but football didn't start with the forward pass.
No.
And they were playing a team whose coach was also a friend of Rockne and helped. And in that book it said him and Rockne, they perfected the forward pass. So I guess Rockne is the father of the forward pass, more or less, from what I read in there.
Yeah, I saw that when I was looking through there.
Well, this coach, and I forgot what team, but they were playing Tech, and Tech got burnt for the first time on a screen pass, and they had no idea what was going on.
What it was.
Yeah. The offensive lineman let them just bleed through, and all of a sudden they toss it right over, and they said they got beat. Tech got beat real bad because that's the first time they'd ever seen it.
Yeah.
And in that, I thought about that was back in the days of no scouting reports, not the media that we had today, and so you were finding out about these modernizations of football by experiencing them on the field for the first time like that.
Yeah.
It was a neat era for football. I think it was really a transitional time for college football for sure, but the forward pass changed everything.
And it really worked out good for Texas Tech.
Well,
the forward pass did.
Well, I still believe we don't get near as much credit, and obviously goes to Leach. As far as I'm concerned, this is the home of the modern day passing attack that everybody uses.
Yeah.
Whether it's college or pros.
Yeah.
It all happened here. And we know when we
were here.
We got to see it.
I know it. All right, can you hang on just a little longer?
Sure.
All right. We're visiting with Randy Christian, and boy, this is phenomenal. Stay with us here, talking about Pete Cawthorn.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
All right, quarter four. That is formerly Cardinals. It's still it's the same people. It's the same store. Just the name has changed, and it is called quarter four now. And they have everything you're looking for. Sports, Texas Tech. It is a absolute. They can do trophies. They do team gear and uniforms and all that kind of stuff. They help take care of Texas Tech and all of our, lots of stuff for your high school teams. You can go in there and get you a jersey or a shirt for them.
Get you a trophy.
May have a trophy made for you.
A trophy department.
There you go.
It can be best something.
Yeah,
best something.
They make those trophies that we get at the Kal Segrist.
Those are nice.
God, there's awesome trophies. Anyway, that's quarter four, just outside the loop on Slide Road, South Slide, and they would love to see you. All right, Randy Christian is here.
To just back up a little bit, Dr.
Right.
Paul Horn hired Pete.
Okay.
Horn died in 1932, and then Knapp came on board.
Okay.
Horn and Pete had a good kumbaya. They worked great together. They were on the same page with what Pete was trying to do with the program. That, not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. So that's when...
we still named a dorm after both those guys.
Well, what Pete was doing, though, Pete was playing schools all over the country.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Detroit, L.A., I mean, because nobody in that Southwest Conference at that time wanted to play Tech because they knew they was going to get beat.
Yeah.
I'm serious. They boycotted them. They boycotted
Pete had good programs.
So, but what happened was is Pete's demise and is those scheduling and flying all over the place, and he wasn't. Knapp didn't think he was doing a good enough job to try to play some of the Southwest Conference schools.
And probably the money that you spend. Money's always been an issue in athletics department, and to do what he's doing, I'm assuming, might not have been.
I think that was a great strategy to begin with, because that was the way that Tech got on the national stage.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have if they would have playing some of these premier. They're not. Some of these schools aren't even in existence anymore. Don't even have football programs.
And his last year was 1950?
40.
1940.
So it was 20 more years till we got in the Southwest Conference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
We were in the Border Conference. When he first started coaching here, we were independent in 30 and 31. And then we became a part of the Border Conference. And is that when we went Matadors, Red Raiders? 1932.
Probably. That change was even made in either 36 or 37 too, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and double check it, but it was in the mid part of his tenure as a coach when we changed.
Okay.
He was born in 1898.
Isn't that hard to believe?
It really is. That's an amazing guy. And I didn't know this either. He ended up being the athletic director at Alabama.
Wait till you see what he did after he left Tech. He coached
crazy.
For the New York Giants, the football team.
Yeah, were the Giants then?
Yeah.
So all that's in the book.
All that's in the book, but he died. He died relatively young, and because he'd had some health issues all his life, but he was so. It really is a story that needs to be told, I thought, because even like you said, it was still 10 years you said till we got in the Southwest Conference?
20. Yeah.
20. He was the first one to really try to, but they didn't. TCU, SMU, they know they were going to get their butts kicked.
They didn't want him in.
They didn't want him in. They did not want him in, and I think that says a lot our football program in general. Which goes back to the deal I texted you the first time. The Red Raiders that are playing this week, coaching.
Yeah.
And then that cool matchup if the Commanders and Kansas City won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Student versus pupil.
Yeah.
If you don't think that's a media bonanza.
Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about it.
And we could do, we need to jump on that locally too. If that happens, do y'all ever?
We've had Anthony Lynn on.
Lynn, he's a good guy. I
Yeah,
remember
he's a
him.
great one. Yeah, and we've had Cliff on before.
Who was
Cliff
the
always
third one
hard.
for the? I wasn't familiar with him. The third one for the
DB.
Commanders.
And he's injured right now. Are you
Oh,
talking
that
about,
was a player.
Yeah, he's a player.
Okay, I missed that when I was
he's
just
a
scanning the
player.
picture.
Yeah.
And but yeah, anybody?
I was talking to Rick last night, and he said that Anthony was getting an interview for the Cowboys job. And I said, well, I think the Cowboys are about to hire somebody. This was last night.
Yeah.
I guess they hired him last night. So Anthony's probably not going to interview for the Cowboys job, or not this time around.
Would you want that? Would you really want that?
Would you
job?
really want it? I don't know. I
No.
don't think so.
No, he really wouldn't.
Because I was thinking the really great NFL teams are those ones that are good organizations, built from the ground up and have good ownership. Because
We used to
few
be
and far
that,
between.
Randy.
Huh?
We used to be that. The Cowboys had a great organization for
I agree.
years
Yeah.
and years.
I was a Cowboys fan.
And now we've just fallen in the ditch.
Oh, can I tell you a person? I don't think I've ever told you this story. When I was working for McGavock, and you see the Nissan Heisman Trophy spots
Yep.
on TV, well, Dorsett was still in those. One of the deals on the contracts to be with Nissan, if they have to have a Nissan at least have a Nissan in their garage.
You don't have to drive it.
Well, no.
have to be seen in
but
it.
I'm saying if that's not their
Yeah.
car of choice,
Yeah.
but they gotta have a Nissan.
Yeah.
So it was time for Tony to get a new one, and of course, everybody at the dealership, I'll go take it. They're going crazy because it was going to go to Frisco. Just drive it to him, and Brent said, Randy, no.
You were going to drive it to him.
These guys, you take it to
Yeah.
Tony, not one of the sales guys, because they were going to have probably a suitcase full of stuff for him to autograph.
Yeah.
So I got to go.
Oh.
So I took him a Pathfinder to his house, and I obviously had his phone number, and he guided me to a rear entry garage, and there's Tony. We're getting ready to put all of his stuff from the old Pathfinder to the new Pathfinder. So, we had a great conversation. We had talked about he openly admitted about his dementia, and he goes, the one thing that drives me the craziest, I put my car keys down and I can't find them.
Yeah.
Well, I got to the point. I've always put my car keys on a lanyard a lot of times if I'm outside.
Yeah.
And I said, Tony, I'm going to do something for you. He goes, I'm giving you this lanyard. Here's your keys to the new car. And I put the lanyard on his neck. And he said, that's a good idea.
Tony Dorsett.
And so we finished that, went in. His wife fixed his sandwiches, go into his study or little office, and I'm sitting there and I look behind me. And here's the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah,
Behind
it's
me,
pretty
and I'm
cool.
going, I cannot believe this.
Yeah.
What happened? I must have done something right for this to happen.
Well, that's so cool.
So I said, there's a couple of things to autograph, and he looked at me and he said, but you hadn't asked me for anything. And I was, Tony, I have mixed feelings about that sort of thing. Take advantage of the situation. He goes, well, I got something for you. So he goes in a closet, and it was already in a frame, and it was a Wheaties box, but it was flattened out.
Yeah.
And he signed it, and it already had Staubach's autograph. And
How cool is that?
Would it be Drew Pearson?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I bet
receiver?
it was. Yeah. Drew Pearson.
And then Tony personalized it to me. And you think I wasn't under
man.
lock and key? That's pretty cool. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, did Brent take it from you when you got back?
Brent doesn't know about it.
Oh, now he does.
This is the first time. This is the
He's
first time
going to want it in his museum.
Because he's
at
got
the
quite a
office.
collection.
Somebody knew Margaret and I were out of town like these athletes, and somebody broke into our house, and they stole that a couple weeks ago. No, I'm kidding.
You better know. You're just
That's going to be my story. That's Margaret and I's story.
Yeah.
We have
Sorry,
no
Brent.
idea where
Sorry, Brent, it got stolen.
where that Wheaties box is.
It would have looked really good in his museum.
Yeah, it looks better where
Anyway.
it is right now, but I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
anyway, that was a fun deal.
This is really interesting. What would you encourage people to do, Randy, as far as, I wish this book was more available to people. I guess it is
Well,
on Amazon.
I'd really be happy if somebody's got I'm going to put together a presentation that if somebody had a civic crew, a glove, would like to learn about Pete, give me a call.
That'd be good.
Well, I've
think
heard
it's
so
very
much
interesting.
about
And
him.
those places are always looking for good.
Oh,
good
I just
speakers.
think this is fascinating
Yeah,
stuff.
it is.
Yeah, Lions
You
clubs,
can't make
Rotary clubs.
You can't make this up.
No.
This is
That deal
great.
that you just
That
read
Mitt
about
Rockney deal.
about Rockney.
Oh,
dying
it's a
in
wonder
plane
that
crash?
he was not on that plane. And he had to be fairly young then.
Oh yeah, I would late 30s, 40s.
He died at 64 is how old he was.
Yeah,
And
he may have been even younger than that.
Yeah.
But the guy was just an incredible thinker, and I'll close with this. Those parallels between Leach and Coach Knight
Yeah.
are undeniable.
Yeah.
Leach definitely would think outside the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always thinking. Good to see you guys.
It's great to see you. Thank you for coming in, Margaret. Thank you. I hope you caught up on your reading. Do you read a lot? I bet you all the time.
She's doing her Bible study over there.
Oh, a Bible study. Well, hallelujah.
What are you studying?
Heaven. I thought, gee, I've been thinking about that some lately.
Yeah. How old are you now?
I'll be 73 this year.
Yeah.
Well, this is your third bout with cancer, so you've probably thought about it before, too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're ready.
We've lost some good
You just
friends.
hang in there anyway. Yeah. You're a hanger in there. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like
Tracy,
cancer's much of an
our
issue
good
to
buddy
you.
Tracy.
Yeah.
Wallace?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were in Sunday school class together.
Okay.
So we got to we
Tracy and
shared
Charlotte.
cancer stories.
Golf clubs I use today are Tracy's golf clubs.
Oh, cool.
He called me and said, "Hey, I'm never going to golf again. Come get these things."
I've got some, but I'm saving them for a grandson.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause that was my deal. I dreamed of retiring and playing golf every day, but that didn't work out. But that's my guy. I love golf.
Love golf. Well, I know Margaret's been a great sword. What you've been through, what y'all been through together.
Oh, I wouldn't do it. You couldn't have done it without her.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's
Yeah.
you become a lot more prayerful too. You brush up, say, well, maybe you should do it more than once a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're going to the golf course.
Yeah.
Are you really after God? He said, God, please forgive me.
Forgive me for.
I really didn't mean to say that. Yeah.
Now we say a lot. Just thank you, Jesus. No matter what comes up, no matter what problem, whatever happens, thank you, Jesus.
I'm a big believer in the power of prayer too.
Yeah. I bet you
but
are.
We don't always get the answer we want, but at least we get an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're promised that.
We're promised that, and we're promised something else too.
Yeah.
And I know that you're thankful for that. This is so interesting. When
I'll keep you up to date on what kind of response we get from this, and because I'd love to do that to civic groups.
Yeah, and I think it's
you'd be able to, you civic people out there, all the clubs and
It's a great
Lions
story.
Club, they'd love to hear this.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's very interesting, and you do a great job of presenting it, and you've got a fire for it.
Well, I'm making presentations all my life,
Yeah.
pitching
Everything's
new
a
business,
presentation.
Pitching new business all the time, or listening to one.
And you learn from Dan Law. Doesn't get any better.
Oh, yeah.
Papadna.
Yeah, be ready. Be ready.
That is so
When
fun.
did Dan play at Tech?
54, 53 in that era. Beatty Feathers. And Dan went to Alabama, and he was roommates with Bart Starr. Then they went to service. And then when he came, he met Beatty Feathers while he was in the service, and he got him to come to Tech.
Who was their coach then?
Beatty Feathers.
Oh, was that the coach's
Yeah.
name?
head coach.
Yeah, I think DeWitt Weaver.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I can't remember all that.
I think I maybe
Feathers
met him once.
Might have been
before.
baseball. I don't think he's
And
ever
Dad
the
played
head
baseball
football
too
coach.
at Tech. We don't know.
Well,
Serious.
Well, you know what's so crazy about Tech too?
Football coaches?
Who would have believed Tuberville would be a senator?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He's doing a good job, I think.
I think he is, too.
He's talking the right talk.
Yeah.
But I remember those days and a couple of lunches with him. That was interesting.
Yeah, Sid Chance wants to you contact. I'll send it to you, Sid. Give me a sec. I know I've got you on my phone. Yeah. I've got it.
But I'll call in every once in a while just to remind people if they'd like me to do it.
Yeah.
Doing a presentation.
That's
and
so cool.
how the play's going. Because that's the other thing.
Yeah, the play. Now, what's the name of the play?
Well, I'm wanting to write a one-man play, and it's called An Evening with Pete Cawthorn.
Okay, and it's a one-man play. Who's going to do?
Who knows? I'm in the development stage. I'm learning the technique of writing a play. In other words, how you write a script for a play, and stage directions and all this other sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it takes place he comes back, and actually in the book, he comes back for a visit with Peace Boys. Probably 20 years after he left Tech, and he was honored by Tech
with Pete's Boys. You should have been.
Yeah. And so anyway, that he came back, but my vision for the play, you can hear the crowd in the background, but it takes place in a locker room.
That's great.
The Tech locker room.
That is really great. Well, he's in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, Pete Cawthorn.
Oh, he's legit.
Yeah, he's a
and
big
I think
time
the
deal.
interesting thing, a little note, Margaret crosses into it a little bit too, because she grew up in Georgetown, and in the book, he coached at Southwestern.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I've walked across the field where he probably played.
Yeah.
Well,
the music's playing, so it means we've got less than a minute. You can't hear it.
I can't hear it.
And hear.
All right, you got 30 seconds. Say something profound.
Thankful for Margaret.
Go fight, win either Kansas City or I want to see one of the two of them in the Super Bowl.
I want to see. Wouldn't it be great if we
both.
could get Kansas City and Washington in the championship? That'd be so cool.
Oh, this town would be going crazy.
I know,
and
it.
we should be.
We
Good
should.
to talk to you guys. And
Randy, thank you for coming in. Thank you for what you're doing, and good luck
Very
to you.
interesting, Randy.
We're praying for you. Get well.
Margaret, thank
Just
you
hang
for coming
there.
in.
Go, Margaret.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
We'll
Bye-bye.
see you.
You've been listening to the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live Saturday mornings from 9 to noon on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.